Imagine this. You find your perfect home. You get moved in, you're settled, and everything feels simply perfect. And then boom, you get hit with a new tax bill, and it's doubled or sometimes even tripled. Now, this is not a hypothetical. This is happening right now to homeowners across Texas. In fact, I've spoken with homeowners in North Dallas, Texas that are hit with this tax bill just months after they move in. They weren't warned and they weren't prepared, and now they're scrambling to figure out how they're going to make their mortgage payment. This isn't just frustrating, it's devastating, as some homeowners are now currently facing foreclosure due to the tax hike. So let's break this down so you know what you can do to protect yourself from foreclosure and avoid this massive tax hike. Before I get started, a quick disclaimer. I'm not a CPA and I'm not an attorney. I'm a licensed real estate professional, and I want to show you what you can do to protect yourself. If you are struggling financially or you need legal advice, please reach out to your lender, your CPA, or an attorney that can help you with your specific need. I simply want to show you what you can do to be prepared and protect you, your family, and your money. This is one of the most asked questions I get when I'm working with a home buyer, and the question normally comes in the form of a story where my client will say, hey, my friend just bought a home in this area, and when they got their tax bill, it was way higher than what they had anticipated and what they were told it was going to be. Or it might start with, my mom and dad said I should ask you about the property taxes before I buy a home. And let me start by saying that your taxes will go up. This is a normal thing, especially if you're buying in Frisco, Salina, Prosper, or North Dallas, Texas, that's growing, because your property taxes include the school tax. And the school tax is the largest tax that you're going to pay on your property. So when you're moving into an area that's growing and they need to build more schools, and the school has to fulfill their budget to make sure that the children have education, those taxes are going to increase. Another thing that affects the increased property tax is when home prices go up, your appraised value goes up along with it. So it's great to have that extra equity after you move in, but understand you're going to pay tax on that increased value, and some homeowners are simply being slammed by these high taxes. So let's look at the big picture here. Over the past few years, home prices in Texas have skyrocketed, and the appraisal districts are reassessing the properties every year to match the market. So higher price homes means higher assessed value, which means more taxes. And reassessment happens after you buy. It doesn't happen the moment that you close escrow. So the number you see on your closing paperwork is really just a placeholder to give you an idea of what they were charging tax on that property before you took ownership. If you live in Texas, then you know that property taxes have increased over 47% since 2019. And this is a direct connection to the explosive market that we've had, where values have increased 60, 70%, and even more. Which means for some people, the excitement of having a home and having instant equity year after year after year really gets squashed by the higher property tax. The key point is, remember that as your home is worth more or you gain more equity, your property taxes are also going to increase, and I want you to be prepared. Homeowners are getting slammed with these higher property tax sometimes just months after they move in, depending on when they purchased, and they're not prepared for this tax increase. This is really causing a crunch in their budget, and it's causing a really difficult time for a lot of homeowners. Let's talk about how your property is assessed. In Texas, the county appraisal district will reappraise your home or assess your home every single year. And the appraisal districts have their own calculations of how they're going to come up with the assessed value. And this is based on the wants and needs of the county, the growth, and what they need to fulfill their budget. Now, they use three basic methods in determining value. The first method is the sales comparison approach, and this is where they look at homes that have recently sold in your area. They're going to compare condition and exact location and upgrades to your property. Now, on a side note, if you've done any major upgrades to your home, for example, you've added onto the property, which would be more square footage, your taxes are definitely going to go up. And if you've done any major improvements, even like a pool, your taxes are most likely going to go up. So basically, any major improvements that you've done to the property, which is going to increase the value on the open market if you were to sell the property, it's going to also increase your taxes. The second method is the cost approach, and this is where they're going to calculate what it would cost to actually rebuild your home if your home was destroyed. Now, they will take into consideration depreciation, and they're going to take into consideration the cost of materials and labor to rebuild your entire house. The third approach is the income approach, and this normally is only used for apartment complexes or investments. And the way they're going to calculate this is your monthly or yearly income minus any type of maintenance or property management fees or any type of upgrades that you're going to have to do to the home. So it is based on condition, but they're really looking at the numbers of what you're bringing in or your potential of income on that property. Again, that's mainly for apartment buildings and different type of investment properties. So what can you do if your property tax bill suddenly spikes? First off, don't panic. This happens every year, and it's not time to panic. You'll get through this. Look at your tax bill. If you have any questions on the tax bill, call the appraisal district and ask them to explain it to you so you understand it 100%. Also, look at comps in your local area, meaning look at properties that have currently sold and compare them to yours apple for apple. If another home up the street has sold that has been upgraded and additions and pools and stuff has been done and your home is not as upgraded, then you're probably being overtaxed. Look at the exemptions on your tax bill. Here in Texas, we have a homestead property tax exemption, which reduces the assessed value up to $100,000. So if it's your primary residence, then make sure that that exemption is in that tax bill and it has reduced your taxes. If not, reach out to the appraisal district and see what needs to be done to put that in place. And if you're a veteran or 65 or older, and there's a whole list of other exemptions that you may qualify for, make sure that those exemptions are in place. For example, the homestead property tax exemption, so we know the numbers up front, is if your home is assessed at $500,000 and your homestead exemption is in place, your assessed value drops to $400,000, and that's truly a significant savings. You have the right to protest your property taxes. Now, it's not one click and you're done, so it does take some time, but you can do this. I did this myself this year and actually had my property taxes reduced over $40,000. Now, what you'll need is some evidence to back up why you feel that the appraisal district has overappraised your price. So the comps are going to work. They're going to be helpful. Pictures of other homes in your neighborhood are going to be helpful, and show the appraisal district that, hey, my home is not worth as much as you think it is. Because believe it or not, I don't know of anyone from the appraisal district that is driving around passing every single home. Remember, they have numbers that they're trying to kind of plug in and figure out this is what the home's value is. So not protecting the appraisal district, but they really don't know the in and the outside of your property like they've walked through. So feel free to actually protest this if you feel that the property taxes are too high. Now, if you have a unique property like a ranch or something that isn't just a tract home, you may want to hire a tax attorney that takes this on for you, because of the fact it's not so easy to pull these comps, and give it to a specialist to be able to represent you to take care of your over evaluated property tax. Now, just a heads up, if you protest your taxes and they reduce your taxes, be prepared to do this again the next year and for years to come, because it's just the way the system works. When the appraisal district comes up with values, they're not looking at your home, particularly walking through or in the backyard. You may have to protest each year. Again, this is also something that you should consider reaching out to an attorney that specializes in property tax and let them handle it for you if you'd like. If you're looking to buy or sell anywhere in the DFW area, or you just need to know the current value for any reason, please feel free to reach out to me direct. My contact information is in the description, or you can always leave a comment. I do respond to the comments, and I will help you any way I can. If you find yourself in a situation where the property taxes have simply blown up and you're struggling to make your mortgage payment, I'd highly recommend that you reach out to your bank right away and see if you can get a loan modification. You might want to speak with an attorney that specializes in foreclosures that can help you down that path. I mean, God forbid that you go down that path and have to experience any type of foreclosure. And if you're possibly facing foreclosure or a short sale, it's so important that you work with someone that understands distressed properties and has experience with the banks, because this is a totally different process than just a regular sale. So you need to work with someone that knows this entire process. Heaven forbid that you face that nasty F word, foreclosure. And spoiler alert, I do specialize in distressed properties and helping people avoid foreclosure. I will handle this myself. This will not be handed off to anyone else. I will walk with you during this process. The best advice that I can give you is that when you find an area that you love and you find the home of your dreams, before writing an offer, actually get the tax information. Call the appraisal district and ask them what the actual numbers are and see what exemptions that you may qualify for when you purchase the property. Also, remember, here in Texas, we do have a PID and a MUD tax, which are separate from your school and your county tax. So make sure you know every single tax that is attached to that piece of land and that house. It's important for you to be prepared. So after you move into your property, when you get your next year's tax bill, you've had time to save up so you're not feeling that financial crunch as those taxes go up. I'm not here to scare you. I'm simply here to educate you so that you do what's best for you, your family, and your money. This is what I mean when I say I do real estate differently. I just don't help you buy a house. I help you understand the true cost of homeownership so you're not surprised. If you're thinking about buying or selling in the North Dallas, Texas area, or you're finding yourself in a mess, please reach out. I have the tools, I have the knowledge, I have the experience, and I have the network to help you in your situation. I don't want you to lose your mind, and I definitely don't want you to lose any money. And if you're wondering, isn't there a movement to abolish property taxes here in Texas? Then click this video here. I have answers for that too. I'm Troy Sage, local realtor dedicated to doing real estate differently. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.